what choice of study material should you use? Well, the exam itself is measuring your knowledge and understanding of the data management body of knowledge. So let's start there. And a lot of people ask, should I use the DMBoK or should I use my own notes? Emphatically on this, use the DMBoK. It is the reference text for a reason and you're allowed to take it in, and you can search that for the answers you need. Secondly, I get asked, should I get a physical copy of the book or should I get the electronic copy of the book? Now, you may have preferences. Personally, I'm a fan of old style books, but I do like ebooks as well for certain purposes. But this is not about your preferences. This is about what will help you get the exam passed. So let's look at an example question where you're going to be asked about the IEC 11179 standard. We'll have a look at how you can answer that question if you've got the physical book, and then we'll compare that to what it's like using the PDF version. So here you have a copy of the physical DMBoK, and of course you could start by trying to look at the chapters in the table of contents, but that's not really going to help with this kind of example. So instead, perhaps you're going to go back and have a look in the index and see whether the IEC 11179 standard is referenced there. So I'll root around a bunch of pages, find the right thing, and unfortunately it looks as though it's not even listed in the index. No good. So I could then perhaps scan through the pages, but that's not going to be any good either. That's a fail for the physical book. So why don't we repeat the trick, and this time we use the electronic copy. I'll quickly do a Control F here. I'll go for IEC 111. Oh, and it's already picked up 4 copies of that, which is going to tell me that this is related to metadata registries, addresses and semantics of data, representation of data, and the registration of the descriptions of that data. Let's go back and see whether that answers our question. So you can see here in the first piece that it's looking at specifying a set of metadata to communicate approval status. Don't think that's perfect, but it might be true. The next one is providing a framework of defining a metadata registry. Now that feels more like it. The third one, identification, this doesn't look very good at all. It's not to do with geographic data. And complex data application neutral form. So it's definitely one of the first 2. Let's go back to the DMBoK and work out which it is. So here we are back at the DMBoK, and it's talking about metadata registry. So it's pretty convincing that we're looking at option 2. But why don't we check out the next find from here? Now we jump down here. ISO's metadata registry standard is intended to enable metadata-driven exchanges of data. Okay, this is convincing me. Let's go back and mark that correct. And here we are back over at the live questions, and we can see clearly, this, yeah, not bad, but we know it's a framework for defining a metadata registry. Check that, move on, easy peasy. Now lots of people say, well, I like to take my own notes, and it is actually possible to click down here and leave a sticky note. IEC 11179 is related to metadata registries, and post that on there. So again, you can put your notes into PDF versions, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that and using that document as you take the exam. Now last but by no means least, it's actually cheaper to buy the PDF version than it is to buy the print copy, and you may as well save money given how expensive this qualification is to get. Before we move off of study materials, navigating the labyrinth is recommended by quite a few people. Personally, we read some of it and we found it very unhelpful. I didn't find it related very strongly to the content, but you may well consider purchasing that if you really want to buff up and get as much study material as you can. Good luck!